It is great to be back in our campus to show you what we have been doing for the last years, even before the pandemic, in Europe and the USA. We have been combining maps, satellite images, geographic information systems, and the stories, the pictures, and the locations to explore, discover, and learn about many places related not only to business and technology that we normally use, ports, transportation, energy, etc., but also to the cultural routes of Sephardi, Jews, and other peoples, other cultures in the Mediterranean Sea, across the Atlantic Ocean, and that are part of our history. And we are using these technologies to bring them from the past to the present and give it to you for the future, regardless of the career or regardless of the areas of interest that you have. This conference was given in Spain several times, and now it's our opportunity to come to Florida, to our FCCJ campus, to share it with our students and friends in the United States and other parts of the world where English is the main language. We're going to talk today about the maritime routes of the Sephardic Jews with emphasis in my own family. I am Jose Lepervanche Valencia. Valencia is the last name of my mother, and the original last name is Semah de Valencia. That means that they were Jewish that were expelled from Spain in 1492. Can you imagine that you had to pack everything in 3 months and leave a country? Well, we did it. We went from Venezuela to the United States, and to the United States and Spain, and back to the US and back to Spain. So we are very used to moving, packing, downsizing, having backpacks with everything. And this is what we're going to share today. We're going to try to be brief. I'm going to do a condensed version, but this is my story. I used to live in Caracas, Venezuela, in a place where Jewish immigrants were the majority. But at the same time, after World War II, the European people migrated to Latin America, and many people from Spain, Italy, Portugal, and other countries went to Venezuela. That city, we have a lot of people, friends from different countries. My friends, I noticed I used to have a kippah. I was a Catholic. I am a Catholic. And at that time, I used to have a cross, medals. But we exchange our views, our friends, regardless of the religion. We celebrate the parties of the events of both religions. My mother was the son of Joel Valencia Moron, my mother Delia Valencia, and he was a Jewish from Sephardic origin in Margarita Island, Venezuela. My grandfather went from Curacao, an island north of Venezuela, to Margarita. And from Curacao, they came from Netherlands. And before that, Spain. So they left Spain, went to the Netherlands. To the Netherlands, they crossed to America. Some families came to what is called New York, that in the past was New Amsterdam. And then my family went to Curacao, Venezuela, and other families went to Brazil. The religion was an issue. So if the son was a boy, normally the religion was Jewish. If the first born was a daughter, normally was Catholic. That was my case. My branch of my family was Catholic, and the other branch was Jewish. So we want to see how these families left Spain and moved to the Netherlands. Many, and this is what we have been searching. We have been doing story maps with the ports of Spain that were used by the Jewish families to leave the country. So we have from Barcelona, Tortosa, Tarragona, Valencia, Sagunto, and then Cartagena in the Mediterranean Sea, down to Sevilla and Cadiz in the Atlantic Ocean. And they used the ships to went to North Africa and Italy. So you will see in our maps that we're trying to do animated maps like the one we want to show you that give you an idea of the location of the ports and then how they went to other countries. Some of the families also use the land, the roads to go to Portugal and then across Europe all the way to the Netherlands. Why the Netherlands? Because the Netherlands at that time was tolerant to religion, and they were able to assimilate, to learn about the local culture, have their own synagogues and activities, and over the centuries, they start to be one of the locals. With the years, the economy, the political situation, they decided to move to the Americas, looking for a warmer weather, that's also obvious. And then they settled in Brazil, Curacao, and US. Our family went to Curacao, and they start to several generations. One of my ancestors, my great-great-grandfather, Semah de Valencia, was the vice consul of the Netherlands in Venezuela. One of the things that happened to them is that they have to bury their dead people, their relatives, outside Venezuela because Venezuela did not have a cemetery, a Jewish cemetery. And what they did, well, they went to St. Thomas, that was part of Denmark, to have their people buried there. And this is why my great-grandfather, Abraham Valencia, created the Jewish cemetery in Barcelona, Venezuela. And this is amazing when you do the maps and the satellite images and Google Earth. Now you can find exactly the location, geolocate the cemetery, and see some pictures. And this is what we are doing. We are doing all the satellite images and Google Maps to create the landmarks and add them to Google, adding also the reviews, the pictures, so that people can know these places. And my uncle, I have an uncle that created a manuscript of all the history of the family, and he said, if you go to the Amsterdam synagogue, search the walls because you will find our last name. And I remember that for later. Well, they said that Christopher Colombo brought some Jewish people from the Americas, from Spain to the Americas. So they have navigation skills, they have cartography skills, they make maps that we do today. And then they settle in the Caribbean Sea. Well, when I wanted to search more about my family and use all these technologies, maps and Google Earth, I found out that it was very interesting to do this job and to volunteer to get people know the places where the Jews used to live in Europe in the medieval times. What happened to them? Then, well, we went to Amsterdam. We used to be a traveler, or we are travelers. My wife and I have been in more than 54 countries. This is why also we teach online, because we can be in any place and learn from the locals what's going on. This is why we also learn about the ports, the countries. This is why I teach international business, and this is why I also teach information systems and security, because we want to integrate all this and learn from the past and bring all this knowledge to the present and the future. Well, yes, we went to Amsterdam, and we went to the Portuguese synagogue, and we didn't find any names. They had a renovation, and they moved everything to the museum. So we went to the museum, we asked the librarian. Ask the librarian is one of my key phrases here at the college, because they normally know more how to search. And I told them, I only have 2 hours, and I need to search about the Jews in the Caribbean in the 15th, 16th century. They brought me 12 books, a dozen of books, and I started searching them. I called my wife immediately to make pictures. We made more than 50 pictures, close to 100 pictures, where I found my relatives. I found information in English about my relatives. And why I need it? Because in 2015, the Spanish government made a new law that gives the Spanish nationality, to those people that can prove that they were descendants of people expelled from Spain in 1492. So when I went to Amsterdam, then I took all the pictures I left, and I started to create a Google Drive to share it with all my relatives. And this is what we did. And then we decided every year during the summer, we used to go to Spain, and we decided to search more about the Jewish expulsion, the ports, the location of the Jewish quarters, and other cultural areas of the Spain country or Spain. Well, what we did was we started to find out that there were a network of Jewish quarters, about 25, but we started to geolocate them in Google Maps. And we started to discover little ones, small ones, forgotten ones that were not as big as the traditional ones. And we already have geolocated more than 200 Jewish quarters. This is amazing that some people invite me to help them to find the Jewish quarters and to locate them in Google Maps. And I have been doing in several places in Spain. Well, finally, we create a Google page, a Facebook page, Juderías de Europa, European Jewish Quarter, and a blog to expand this like I'm doing today. I want to share this research with our Spanish people in Spain, and so this is what we do in Spanish language. But now we want to expand also to English. We want to share, like we have done in the past, some videos related to this research in this language for our students, for our people in Latin America and the US who speak Spanish and English, so they know how to use these technologies and this kind of research to integrate cultural, historical, and business intelligence into study maps. In our courses, I share with the students that these tools are very useful not only for your traditional courses like we had done in the past, and we want to share to you some of the study maps that we have done about companies, about countries, and it's amazing to see how students create the study maps with the pictures, videos, links, and information about specific countries and specific companies. We're doing the same with the cultural routes. When we start to expand not only to Jewish quarter, but also to other cultural areas, we receive a request from churches, hermitage, ports, bridges, and other small areas that wanted to have their places geolocated or create what we call geo landmarks that you can visit and explore by your own. It was a great way to see places. We also visit Poland, Berlin, to search more about more recent history of the Jewish, including the Holocaust. We went to Auschwitz in Poland, and it was very sad. in order to know more about the religion, I am Catholic, but I also did a Jewish traditions course. And it was very interesting to understand more the Jewish culture, the Jewish religion, because now as a Catholic, I can know more about the origins of Christianism, right? And understand that why Jesus was a Jew that later started to expand to what we call today a new way to read the Bible, to the New Testament, and created what we call the Christianism. It was very interesting to do this research. You're going to see in other videos more focus into the business and technology area, because I want you to see that the story maps are not only for this kind of research, are very important for business and technology students that we have, but also it gives you the opportunity to do other kind of research that are from your interest. This is what I also do in scouting. I have some story maps relating to scout trips and camp out, Jamboree, Hiroshima Peace Park. That was a very sad story map that we want to share with you also later. In the same way that Christopher Columbus crossed the Atlantic 4 ways to discover the New World or to encounter with the New World, my wife and I have crossed the Atlantic 3 times. Not in a sailboat, not in an ancient ship. We did it in transatlantic cruises. We went to Azores, La Palma, Canary Island, back to Malaga, Alicante, and Barcelona. This is why I say that a Sephardi, from origin Sephardi, came back to Valencia more than 500 years later. Semah de Valencia came back to Sepharad again to reencounter with the origins of the old family.